So we have been aboard the Disney Dream for almost 24 hours now.
Correct.
And we wanted to tell you guys about our experience so far on this cruise.
Let's get into it.
Let's do it. So we have boarded the Disney Dream for a Very Merrytime Cruise. This cruise is usually between the early parts of November towards the end of December, so they're very limited and special sailings. We were blessed enough to be able to board this ship fairly inexpensively and compared to other people, yes. And we have some thoughts about our first time on a specialty Disney cruise. So let's start with boarding the ship.
Okay.
We arrived at port at 11:30 with a 1:30 check-in time.
Don't do that.
Don't do that. Disney is very particular about their check-in time, and they do tell you that. Now, us as seasoned cruisers have been able to go to ports before and kind of sneak between the lines and get on the ship a little earlier than our regular boarding time. Not Disney. They are to the line, to the letter, exactly on point with the times for boarding. And I feel like for this sailing, they kind of had to be.
Yes, this is a full sailing. There's not any space to be had.
No.
So they not only were they bringing up a bunch of people on the ship, I feel like they also had people pretty much arriving almost at the same time.
Yes.
There was a lot of people in our boarding group.
Yes. So make sure you get to port a little, I would say maybe about 30 to 45 minutes before your boarding time, not too much before then, just because you will be waiting. We waited that full 2 hours to get on board the ship.
And it was not fun.
It was not fun at all. We did meet some cool people in line though, but once again, we could have met those same people on the ship.
Absolutely.
Let's get into the check-in process once we did start to board the ship.
Again, that was also strange because Siobhan had checked us in, and she's checked in, but I'm not. So they have to send me off to get checked in.
Yes.
So we had to pick our keys up from a separate kind of security desk.
Yes. So please also be reminded that you will receive emails from Disney if you're not 100% checked in, just letting you know where you are in the process and if you are checked in. I have received, in the 8 days that we had this cruise booked, I had received no less than 3 emails saying that we were 100% checked in. So I'm not sure what happened in between then and now, but he, for some reason, was not checked in. He had to be sent to the guest services desk in the port, not on the ship, in the port, to get the room keys. And neither of our room keys were here as we were told that they were. Mine was going to be. My room key was not here when we arrived either. Absolutely not. And also the cabin steward did not know we were coming because there were no room keys assigned. So when we actually arrived on the ship, he was like, "Oh, you're here." He didn't know. So make sure you're 100% checked in.
Yes. So kind of going back to also boarding, if you have a 1:30 boarding time, you might want to have eaten lunch before you got here.
Yes.
Because there's no guarantee that you're going to make cabanas or any other dine-in lunch spots. Because when they shut down at 2:45, they really do shut down they start shutting down closer to 2:30.
Yes.
If your boarding time is at 1:30, then probably eat something before you get here, because there's a better than decent chance that even if you do get lunch, you're gonna have to hurry right through.
Yeah. And some people actually had snacks packed and they were eating snacks. I saw somebody eating Lunchable in line. We actually had to go to the vending machine. So, I mean, that is that. And there were restrooms outside as well. But let's talk about on board the ship. Like you said, we went to cabanas. We usually have a checklist of things that we try to get done before we go to muster or before we sail away. Because we were so limited on time, we did not board this ship until 2:10. We had to rush through our process, and we didn't get to do the things we usually do, such as do like a mini tour of the ship, getting to know the layout, hanging out in our cabin. We had to rush through. So we had about 35 minutes to eat our food, and it was packed.
Yes.
And it was packed because not only was it just us who got on the ship late, there was a bunch of us.
Mm-hmm.
They shut down 40 minutes. Well, I say about 45 minutes before the muster, which was at 3:30. We had to eat, rush to the cabin, drop our stuff off, go to muster by 3:30, and immediately everybody rushed to sail away.
So that provided limited space for sail away.
Yes.
Which is another issue that we'll get to later.
Yes. Now, the other thing that we want to talk about is muster. Last year, when we were on the Disney Magic in Galveston, Texas, in January, we did the muster outside. This year, we were able to sit into the Buena Vista Theater and do the muster, which made it a little more comfortable, but it was a group muster still. It's not the new virtual musters that you do now.
It was still a little disjointed,
yes.
if you will.
Yes. But nevertheless, we got that done and we rushed off 10 flights of stairs to deck 13 to try to catch sail away. And I say that because the elevators were packed from everyone leaving the muster, and it was hard to get an elevator. So we actually walked up 10 flights of steps to get to sail away.
And we got there, and there was limited space. So our plan was to just go on the second deck and just kind of look down, but that wasn't the case. So we had to kind of be amongst the crowd.
Yes.
At sail away. So that was not what we had preferred. So again, the sail between the muster and the sail away, it was just no time to do what we want to get where we wanted.
Right, exactly. So once sail away was done, we then came back to our cabin to try to relax and recharge for just a little bit. Brandon took a very quick cat nap, and then I realized the Golden Mickeys were
at 6
p.m.
which is a very, if you're accustomed to cruising, you know shows don't typically start till at least 7.
Yes.
This show started at 6, and it was a good show. It was a very, 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 very good show. But here lies another problem. The show started at 6, went for an hour.
Yes.
The tree lighting ceremony was at 7:30.
Yes.
And again, it's one of those situations where if you don't get somewhere early, then you're late.
Exactly. And it's not that we weren't early.
Yes.
We just weren't early enough.
Yes.
So, suggestions for shows. Send a placeholder to hold your place. Send somebody has to be your designated placeholder, because you have to get there early, and we don't mean 30 minutes. 30 minutes is not early enough.
No.
You're probably looking at 45 minutes to an hour to get there, especially on these specialty sailings, because everybody wants to see the magic. So get there early to hold your place. If you can, and if the cruise line allows, I'm almost to the point where you kind of need a little boop, boop, boop step stool, like one of the little foldable, collapsible ones, just so you can see over people, because if you don't get there in time, you're not seeing it.
Yeah, for sure.
You're not seeing it. So that is just a little tip that I just thought of last minute. Hopefully it works. I don't know if it's going to work, if you're going to be able to get them on, but you can try to pack it in your luggage and see if it happens.
You're being so serious.
I am being very serious about this.
You were joking.
No, I'm very serious about this little boop boop foldable step stool you can get from Dollar Tree. Like something got to give here. Because what happens is people put their kids on their shoulders. Everybody's crammed into these small limited spaces, and you can't see anything.
Yes.
Which leads us into personal boundaries.
Pack your patience and pack your decorum.
Yes.
Because there are going to be people who, as you said, want to see the magic. So sometimes your vision and your mental is clouded when you're trying to see something. So there are people who will push you, who will get in your way, and you just kind of have to just grin through it.
Grin through it. Don't let other people, and this is something I had to talk to myself about, don't let other people cloud the magic and the joy that this sailing can bring to you and your family. Because people are going to test your patience, and people are going to do things that you may not do as a person. I would not ever invade someone else's personal space to the point of making them feel uncomfortable. But there are people who will do that. So pack your patience and try to enjoy the experience for what it is. I will say Disney rotates a lot of the events. So if you don't see it one time, there is an opportunity to see it again. Now, there are those once in a lifetime things that you probably won't see, like the tree lighting ceremony, which only happens on the first night of the cruise. But you'll get to meet Santa multiple times. You'll get to meet the princesses multiple times. You'll get to meet the characters multiple times. So the things that are special to you, just send that scout ahead. The other things, pack your patience, find another day, try to do it again.
Yep, that's pretty much all I got.
Yeah. So as far as the first 24 hours on the ship, we did have dinner in the Enchanted Garden last night, and we had a great time. We met another couple. We had a nice conversation. We ended the night just walking around the ship, getting to see some of the adults areas. And we just came back and watched Disney movies and watched the porthole. So with that being said, we've had a great time so far. There have been some bumps in the road, but the further we get along into this cruise, it's gotten pretty nice, and we're enjoying it, and we're taking in the magic. So with your first 24 hours on your Disney cruise, if you have done this sailing before, let us know some things we could have done differently, or let us know some of the magic experiences that you have had. So we will see you guys within future videos.